So I just wanted to make this really quick guide for people that are struggling with Yuel. I think she's a very conceptually hard character to understand, and the way she plays is very unorthodox, which I don't blame anyone for struggling with her, especially if you are a beginner or like at the beginning of the intermediate level. She's kind of like a counter poke, frame trap, rushdown stance character, which sounds like a lot, and it kind of is, but it all meshes together in a pretty simple game plan, which it's kind of hard to understand at first, but after I explain it, it'll make perfect sense. So the guide is going to be split off into two sections, beginner and intermediate. Beginner is more of the stuff that helps you with the fundamentals, so you can focus on fundamentals while learning the beginner stuff and then getting used to the character. The intermediate stuff gets into a lot more character specific things that kind of push you away from basic fundamentals and into just Yuel's very unorthodox offense. And starting with our key normals, we have 5L. As you can see, this one's actually a low. So this hits low, and then her close one hits high. Her high one is +4, meaning you can kind of create pressure with the high. And then with the low, you can check if they're blocking low, and on block, it's not that bad either. As you can see, on block, it's actually +2, so it's pretty much like kind of similar to a 6XL. So 6XL is the universal pressure tool that everyone's familiar with by now. It basically allows you to run in and threaten a throw, or just threaten some pressure afterwards, so you can continue your pressure or even loop pressure. It's quite an impressive tool. As far as the normals go, there's only one more normal I really want to talk about, which is 2H. 2H is a pretty good anti-air tool that actually sucks in. If you notice, it sucks her in a little bit, and it's even more so if they're above you getting hit. So it's a pretty good way to start combos through an anti-air, but I do want to preface that if you are at the beginner level, I highly recommend you focus more on doing EXDP, as it's air unblockable, and it's far better to get used to this as a universal mechanic rather than 2H. So please use the EXDP for anti-airs for now, and then 2H you can be a tool you use when your EXDP is off cooldown. Now the specials I want to get into are Dash, which has 3 versions, light, medium, and heavy. Light version, as you can tell, is safe at -3, medium version is not safe at -8, and the EX version is also not safe at -6. So you might be thinking that your quarter circle forward is kind of like your get-in tool, and to a certain extent you are right with the light version. It lets you in and it puts you at an okay distance so that you can start establishing pressure, but unfortunately you are -3, so you do lose your turn when you get in. So what is a better way to actually get in? Let's say you're at this range playing footsies, the opponent is trying to hit you, you're trying to hit them. Instead of actually doing the dash in, I do want you to use this jump back into stance cancel. So it cancels this part of the move. So you need to learn this, and the reason why is because afterwards you have the follow-up of H. So the H button will do a dash, and as you can see, it's actually +2. So if you jump back and hold it, you'll get a longer reaching one that'll hit for positive frames. The main thing to note is that depending on the distance, you'll get different positive frames. So if I'm up this close and I use the H, it's negative, but if I'm back here and I use the H, it'll be positive. The only thing I do want to preface is, depending on the starting distance of the jump back, you might have to hold it, or because as you can see, sometimes the tap version will miss depending on the distance that you do it at. So here the tap version will hit, but back here it won't. Keep that in mind. You're gonna have to just feel that out as you play the character. Your basic pressure is gonna look like 6XL, and then L, and then also threatening throw. This is kind of like your game plan, right? Is just play with your key normals, your lights, like get in and use your lights, use your 2H to keep them out, and play anti-air with your EXDP as well. So that's kind of like your game plan. Also, I forgot to mention this, but 5H is actually a very good tool in neutral to kind of check the opponent. Oftentimes this is used more as a whiff punish, if anything. It reaches at an okay distance. It's kind of stubby compared to other 5Hs, but the reason why you use this is if they're swinging, you can actually hit their swing, and then you can start your pressure off of that, like maybe do a 6XL and try to get in, or do that jump back dash that I said, and then now you have established pressure and you can start running your game plan. One quick tip for beginners that I see a lot is they're mashing way too much. They're mashed way too much, especially with this character, because she has so many jump back moves and like positive frames and stuff like that. They think they can just get away with anything. I highly recommend slowing down and making sure you're getting the correct input out, and then being intentional with your skill usage. So here's a super basic hit confirm that you can use at any point in the screen. It's just any button that you can hit confirm it, and then go into the quarter circle forward H, which is EX dash. So you can just do this, and it's a pretty basic combo starter as well. So in the corner you can use this as a combo starter. So as you can see, it combos. So it's a pretty good wall bounce. So getting into the intermediate section, we have to talk about the stance. The stance is like your key tools for success. Why do I say this? Is because you have some pretty good moves out of here, some pretty good frame traps, and pretty good ways to mix the opponent. Let's start with her moves in stance. The key moves is going to be 5L, which is this slash. It's pretty fast at 5 frames, and it goes even on block. The next move is 5M, and the reason why this one's good is because it's positive on block. And yes, it is 16 frames, which is kind of slow, but Yuel cannot be hit out of stance unless she's hit by a low, and this move in particular goes over lows. As you can see, she kind of jumps off the floor. She goes over lows. So sweeps, 2Ls, all these low hitting moves will not hit you. So their only real option is 2L and sweep. So of course they have grab, but because of the spacing that you are going to put them in, throw won't be that much of a threat. So the last move I want to talk about is 2M. 2M is a pretty good move that hits pretty far, and it's +2 on block. So you'll use this tool quite a bit, also for pressure, also to keep them in check with your 5M. So they're all very good tools to keep them out. So the last one is also 2L. Which is a forward advancing high move. It's not bad for like frame trapping, for example. Like if you do something like this, you can also hit them, and it is a launcher, so you can launch them with this and then go into like a combo or hit confirm or something. But I would say that your 5L is for the most part a little bit better, just because it's even. You can just hit confirm it into itself and then go into a 2L so that you can do like a very easy hit confirm. Okay, let's talk about positioning with your stance. If you're up here, you're not in a very good position because they have a very fast move in 2L to hit you out of stance. So the best thing to do, in my opinion, is to try to get yourself to a space where there are 2L whiffs. And to do that, you can just hit them with 5L twice. 5L twice puts you at a perfect distance where their 2L is gonna whiff, but their sweep might hit. So from here, you can either do another L and then hit them, and then you can also hit them with a 5M at tip range, meaning you get the +2 and it's your turn again, and if they try to hit you low, they whiff. You can also just do 2 of them and then do a 5L to kind of keep you a little bit closer and go over that low if they try to spam it, but you can keep at this range and then use your moves to stay in. You can also always check them to see if they're going to try to run at you or something with a 2 medium. 2 medium is also pretty good because it's +2 on block. So you have a lot of tools to get plus frames, and you have this very easy tool to use in 5L to get your spacing, and then start establishing pressure again. The reason why we haven't talked about too heavy is because it's quite unsafe on block. It's 11 frames, which is a little bit slow. It's not bad, but it's -13, means you get comboed super easily if you hit this on block. So you kind of want to avoid using this for the most part, especially as like an intermediate. I'm sure there's some uses for it, or like if you can read a certain situation, or maybe if they do something that's super punishable and now you need the launcher, I'm sure you can use it. Another thing that I do want to mention before we get into some more interesting stuff is her grab changes in this stance. And what do I mean by that? It actually gets a micro dash before it grabs. So typically the movement looks like this. You're kind of hopping around, which is not bad but not good necessarily, because it like during these hopping frames you can just get hit. But what's nice is, as you can see, we already established that you kind of want to establish your pressure from over here, but your throw itself actually does a micro hop. So you micro hop into a throw. So you can still threaten throw a bit using that. It's a little bit more telegraphed just because you do the micro hop into the throw. So if someone's paying attention, they can tech the throw. It's still a very good tool to know that you actually do a micro hop into throw. So when you're in, the main balancing act is going to be going between being in stance and out of stance. I do recommend using your stance quite a bit. Just has pretty strong tools in general, but the main thing is that you can't use specials out of it. So going into like a 6XL into like this low check is not a bad idea. And also another good way to steal turns is doing quarter scroll back, heavy, medium, and light. The only issue is that the medium version is negative and you get punished. The light version is +1 and the EX version is +2. That one extra frame is kind of nice. You can 6XL a little bit more comfortably after that compared to the 1 frame, but it's still not a bad move. Also, it's pretty good if you just do the EX version and then stance switch and then just heavy, so you can get those plus frames again. So you can kind of mix it up with your approach. Sometimes what you'll see is some players will kind of get used to the timing of this and they'll try to hit you on the way back in. So the way to counter that is you can do the EX and then delay it slightly, which will catch them if they try to hit you on the way back. So you can kind of mix up the timings that you try to get in. You still get the plus frames on both situations. The EX version gives you the 2+ frames, and also from this distance, the tap dash gives you +1 to +2 depending on the distance. So it's not a bad move to mix up with. And if they aren't respecting your lows or they don't think you'll go low, you can always hit them with this every once in a while, and it does combo. I do want to talk about the flame wheel now. I know it's kind of late into the guide, but there's a reason for it. In lower skill levels, what'll end up happening is the opponent will just mash, and they'll even mash DP in middle of like block strings. So the issue is that there is a gap. So if they're mashing DP or something, they'll hit you through it. But you can use the flame wheel to kind of get your turn back. It is +4 on EX, it's +5 on medium, and then even on light. So you kind of want to use the EX version and the medium version. The main difference is that the EX version has a faster startup time, while this version has a slower startup time but more frame advantage. So you can kind of use it to steal turns, and then do the jump back, and then also do the jump back into stance, and then do some pressure, maybe switch back out of stance, and then cause some havoc with like 6XL, get some easy hit confirms. You just want to try to steal as many turns as possible. That's kind of like Yuel's game plan, is be super tricky and force the opponent to be afraid of all of these oppressive options, get super overloaded with you switching stances constantly, or get scared of the throw in normal stance, mix it up with a throw in her flame stance. So like I said, it's a pretty unorthodox character, but get used to using all of these tools in conjunction. You can do all sorts of things. It's very freeform. I think the main thing is just utilizing the tools that I taught you and focusing on the tools that are either plus or give you a pretty good situation in your favor. And the last thing I do want to note is that I feel like a lot of people that play these rushdown characters do kind of struggle with being okay with blocking and resetting to neutral. This is a pretty neutral based game, and resetting with neutral with Yuel is not terrible. But please experiment with all the tools that she has. The last thing I do want to just show you real quick, just so that you are aware of it, is your jumping D is a safe get-in tool that puts you negative, so you kind of lose your turn. But the upside is it comes at kind of a weird angle. I'll leave you with a basic combo to just have in the corner. Mid-screen combos, I just recommend using that confirm that I showed earlier. But other than that, everything else is going to be up to you to start developing your Yuel. Great.